Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Ryan, and I'm coming at you with a new video. Of course, we know Nintendo has been everywhere on the internet, on the news, maybe not the local TV news, but everybody is talking about Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch. Now, whether it's positive or negative, we see it on both ends right now, and as expected, there's your group of people who love Nintendo, they're fanboys, and they want to see them succeed, and they're almost positive that they are, which is more the side I lean towards, of course. But even then, I'm even still cautious about the system, even to this day. But then there's the other side that has doomed them to fail. They want them to go and turn into a third-party developer that sends Link and the Legend of Zelda to PS4s and Xbox Ones. But there's quite a bit within the Switch that really get talked about the most. And I kind of want to get together a small list of 5 different things about the Nintendo Switch that a lot of the naysayers have one argument for, and I'm going to kind of talk about the reason why they shouldn't dismiss this stuff right away. Now everybody keep in mind, I have done plenty of research. I even have a notepad here that's glary as fuck. It has all sorts of stuff. In my spare time, the little bit of it that I have right now, I made some notes on some stuff about the Nintendo Switch. I was originally going to make this big video, basically going over everything we know about the Switch, but not only has everybody and their mother done that video, but I don't want to make a big long video like that. So, like I said, this is a condensed video, and here we go. So the first big topic I want to talk about is the marketing for this system. And yes, I'm going to have to compare the Switch to the Wii U and other systems for that matter. So when people are saying that the Nintendo Switch is doomed to fail, I assumed that when people say that the Switch is going to fail, that they're saying that it's going to do about on the same scale as the Wii U or worse. With that being said, if you remember how the Wii U was brought about and everything, the advertising for that system was almost non-existent. From my recollection, there may have been 3 different commercials for it, not to mention every single person I knew who I asked them how they felt about the Nintendo Wii U, they were like, isn't that just an add-on for the Wii? And I was like, no, it's a completely brand new console. It's called the Wii U. And that right there threw so many people off. So I think one big thing with the Wii U's failure, as a lot of people like to call it, as a failure, that a lot of the people who really love and purchase Nintendo products, they still bought the system. But it's all those casual people, the people who don't know the Nintendo name over the years, and bought a Wii, but they didn't buy the Wii U because they didn't know what it was. It was not made clear enough. The marketing for the Wii U was so weak that nobody even knew it existed. So now we fast forward here to Nintendo Switch. There is not a person out there who does not know what the Nintendo Switch is right now. I can almost guarantee that right now. Everybody is talking about the Switch. It is all over the internet, especially with things like Facebook and everything, and they give you those reminders on the side of what the big buzz topic is for the week or the month. Nintendo Switch has been on there a lot. And if it's not Nintendo Switch, it's just Nintendo. And anyone who sees Nintendo and they get even a little bit curious, they'll click on that, and then they'll see Nintendo Switch. And everyone's going to wonder what it is. So, as far as like the marketing for this system, I really think Nintendo's hitting it out of the park. They're giving you so little information, enough where they get people talking about it, and they get people wanting to know more, and they're chomping at the bit for it. So everyone is in a frenzy about this system. So I really don't think there's a soul out there who does not know about the Nintendo Switch, which will be coming out March 3rd, 2017. And I really wish I could buy one, but I'm really poor. So there you go as far as that. I think this next topic gets talked about the most, and it's the one that I feel is the one that we know so little about. and that's the third-party support. Now, I'll admit, when the Wii U was announced and they had their list of third-party developers, I can't recall if it was as big or the same size, or that those are the same. I don't know if they were the same size or if it was less than the Nintendo Switch right now, but all that aside, when the Wii U was all said and done within its first year, third-party developers were on the side of Nintendo for the Wii U. There were third-party games within that first year. The problem is they weren't pushed, and after dealing with the first games that they released, and they saw how difficult it was to produce a game for the Wii U, that's when that third party fell off. With the Nintendo Switch, it's sounding more promising. It's sounding easier to produce a game for the Nintendo Switch than it is for the Wii U. And I think a lot of people overlook that fact, and they look and they see that list of third-party developers. There's the people who hope that they all stay on board, and then there's the people who completely dismiss it anyway. They could have had 200 different third-party developers on this list, and they would still dismiss the Switch because they feel it's just going to be another Wii U incident, and because of the Wii U, people deem Nintendo to just immediately fail. Where back when the NES and SNES were around, Nintendo was the console and was the company to talk about when it came to video games. And now that the Wii U has successfully failed in the eyes of all people, Nintendo is just a system that will always come up short in their eyes, and they completely ignore facts and ignore everything else out there. So in the end, it is way too early to tell, but there's some facts you can ignore. I'll get into this part of it a little later, but Bomberman R, or Super Bomberman R, that's a Konami title, third party. Woof. Just the thought of that blows my mind. Konami released a game, but we got Super Bomberman R for the Nintendo Switch. That's quite a third-party game, and that one, if not just sell a bunch of software, but that game itself can even sell hardware for this system. Anyone who's had the Bombermans beforehand are going to want this. People who just look at it and see how beautiful it looks and how fun it looks and the multiplayer aspects of it, they're going to want to buy this game. So we're looking at games coming from Konami. Then of course you have like Square Enix is involved. You have Atlas is involved. Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Activision, EA. There's a lot of third-party support so far who have already announced games for this system. Again, it is too early to tell. Could this be a Wii U situation? Maybe. But the thing is, it's too early to tell. This is mainly for all the people who have already deemed the Nintendo Switch to fail before anything has ever happened. Especially since the Wii U. Especially since the Nintendo Switch pre-orders have already sold out. So, all the pre-orders are sold out, and then there's probably the couple that might be on shelves when the system first releases as well. You'll have those systems as well that will probably sell out the first day, the first couple months at least. This system's going to keep selling for months. So to sit here and say that the Switch is doomed to fail because of third-party support is ridiculous, because you don't know yet. That is simply the only thing that needs to be said. It is too early to tell to say the Switch is going to fail due to the lack of third-party support when you have a list of games and you have games already getting release dates for this system. The third topic I want to talk about is the launch lineup. I cannot tell you how many people have said that the launch lineup for this system is the only reason you need to see and really have to see to tell that this system is not going to sell. Let's forget about the pre-orders. I'm serious. Let's forget about them. The fact that the pre-orders sold out, just forget about it. Forget about that for a few minutes, and let's just dive into the fact that the launch lineup is the reason why this system's going to fail. For starters, that's a really ignorant statement, and a lot of that comes from the fact that the system will sell better with a good launch lineup, of course. But what sells the systems and keeps the system selling is not simply the launch lineup. It's the games that come out throughout the entirety of the year. And I'll expand on that more towards the end of this point, but let's just keep it in the launch lineup for a minute. We've got 1-2 Switch, which will sell. I know a lot of people are pissy about 1-2 Switch. It's a stupid version of Wii Sports, I guess, without the sports part of it. This is more of like a party game, but it's gonna sell. Even at its price point, it's gonna sell. Is it gonna sell well? That is a completely different topic that's up in the air. Personally, I don't know if it's going to sell, especially at its price point. But then we've got Just Dance 2017, we got the Skylanders game, then you got Super Bomberman R. That, I think, is guaranteed to sell. And that might just be coming from someone who really loves Hudson products, and I love multiplayer Bomberman, but I just feel that you have your gamers, you have all of these people who play games on a constant basis. They grew up with games, they love Bomberman, and they're going to want to play this. But I think you're going to see that this game will bring a lot of casual people. Bomberman has always been one of those great puzzler games that everybody can get behind. I don't see this game flopping, period. This game, like I had mentioned earlier in the video, is going to be a system seller. And then, of course, we get to the main Cook de Gracie, even though that's the wrong way to say that, is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Obviously a system seller, obviously going to be phenomenal. It's been hyped up for a long time. It's been delayed a lot, unfortunately. But this game is going to sell this system the most. Now, when it comes to, is this lineup good enough to get the Nintendo Switch to sell really well right out the gate? Personally, I think it is. And the launch lineup is going to get this launch lineup is going to get this system jump-started, and it's going to keep it selling. And then by the time people get done with Breath of the Wild, and they kind of slow down with the amount that they play Bomberman and the 1-2 Switch and stuff like that, then you have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming out. That comes out in April. The Nintendo Switch reminder for everyone is released in the beginning of March 3rd. And then you have a whole nother month and a half, maybe even a little bit more. I believe it was April 28th they said that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is coming out. Mario Kart 8 is a multiplayer game that everyone's going to play. And even people who have a Wii U and have Mario Kart 8 are probably still going to buy this game because they're going to want to play Mario Kart 8 on the go. It's just as simple as that. The thing is, everyone is itching and saying that the launch lineup is going to kill this system too. Every single topic I'm talking about within the Switch, everyone is saying that this is going to kill Nintendo. And Nintendo is going to go third party, which they have no reason to. Even if this system does bomb, they have no reason to go third party. None. I really think that we live in a day and age where everyone wants the newest type of hardware as soon as it comes out. And they're willing to fork over money for this. Now I'm going to round off this topic really quickly because I keep getting sidetracked, but the main point with the fact that Nintendo Switch will probably do well within its first year is because Nintendo has taken this system a little differently. If you notice, like I had just mentioned, the launch lineup, you have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and you have Super Bomberman R on there. So let's just take into consideration that those are the only two games to most people that they're going to want to buy for this system when it gets launched. In a month and a half, maybe a little more, we can even just say 2 months, you're going to have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's another game, another system seller for the Nintendo Switch that's going to be coming out. And you know what? It's safe to say that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will get beaten within those 2 months that it takes to release the Mario Kart 8. And then people will start hopping on and picking up that game. So, to say that there's too much of a gap between first-party titles is ridiculous. I mean, I think Nintendo is doing this a lot better. And just when you think that you're done, you're not. Because then in the summer of 2017, Splatoon 2 will be coming out. That is a huge new IP for the Nintendo systems. Splatoon for the Wii U was big. It did not sell consoles because Splatoon came out way later in the life of the system, and again, you still have a bunch of people who don't even know what the Wii U is. So basically the people who bought a Wii U are the only people who have one. And there's not many people who are going out and buying a Wii U after year 2, 3, and 4. Simply because people don't know what it is still. But you have the launch lineup in March. You have Mario Kart 8 coming out in late April. You have Splatoon coming out in the summer. Then you have Mario Odyssey coming out in the winter. They have given us enough stretch life of their first-party titles that 2017 should be a really good year for the Nintendo Switch. This launch year, screw the lineup. The year that Nintendo Switch is getting released and the lineup that they have full of games, which I'm not even counting third parties right now, it's looking good. I think it looks really good. And to everyone who thinks that it's going to fail, look at that lineup for 2017 and try to tell me with a straight face that Nintendo is completely doomed, and give me 3 reasons. You can do that down below if you'd like. Now, reason number 4 is definitely the battery life of this system. Now, it has already been announced that the system is going to have differentiated battery life based on the game, how big it is and such. So they told us 2.5 to 6 hours depending. And they've already said that you have an estimated 3 hours while playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is a massive game for this system. It is the biggest Zelda game that they've released to date. Let's break this down a little bit. To people who are constantly traveling and constantly on the go, 2.5 to 6 hours doesn't seem like a lot. And then we'll just throw Breath of the Wild on the fire again. 3 hours to play Breath of the Wild, it doesn't seem like a lot. And I understand. I understand why people who are constantly on the go and they don't have time to sit down and play a console game, I understand why 3 hours is not enough. I really do. But how many people are exactly like that? How many people out there are YouTubers who are going from con to con and they're traveling for their jobs and they have that time in between to play games, or when they're on a flight or something, if they're on a 6-hour flight and they only get 3 hours of Breath of the Wild time. Specifically for the flight, there's really nobody who wants to sit down and play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch for 6 hours straight. I don't really care who you are. When you're on a flight, you're not going to necessarily just be sitting there playing the Nintendo Switch the entire time. And here's some good news for you. If you are one of those people who can miraculously do that, you can plug it in. They have outlets on planes where you can plug in the system. So, let's say you don't get that battery life. You could still plug it in. It's not going to be the biggest deal in the world. So, I think people are just over-exaggerating how shitty this battery life is. Technology has only come so far, and the fact that it went from people thinking that this is only going to have a 2 and 3 hour battery life, and we're finding out that it's possible that it's going to have 6 depending on the games that it plays, that's actually quite good. And I think people underestimate just how good that is. And the 5th topic that we're going to talk about has to be the price. I think this is the one thing that people have been talking about the most as of late, compared to when we first saw the the trailer for it. Now, $299.99 in North America, that would be in the United States anyway, is not bad. That's really what you could expect. When the PS4 and Xbox One were released, they were going for that price and more. So, the fact that this is $300 doesn't shock me at all. I mean, if it was more in the range of like $350, even that would seem odd, but I still wouldn't be surprised if it was $350, in all honesty. I think the one thing about this console that everybody was hyped about the most, but then when the price gets mentioned, people just completely ignore, is the fact that this is a hybrid console. This is a console system and an on-the-go travel system. A handheld. I almost forgot what a handheld was for a second. Let's break that down really quick. PS4 and Xbox One, you can't take them on the go. You can't take those gaming experiences on the go with you. You have this new, sleek, sexy-looking system in the Nintendo Switch that is a home console. You can take that with you. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it's still going to be very beautiful. Especially because I know the resolution was 820 or something. I'm actually trying to look at my old notes. I threw these up. I'm sorry, 720p. It's a 720p tablet, so it's going to look beautiful. It's going to be like having a tablet with you on the go. It's going to be a little smaller than that, but it's going to be beautiful. It's going to look great, and it's going to play well, too. It does seem a bit strange to me that the Nintendo 3DS is still getting support while the Nintendo Switch is getting released in March, but at the same time, I think you'll see within the year that they'll stop supporting the 3DS to push the Switch even more. The fact that people talk about the Nintendo 3DS is going to harm sales of the Switch, I think is a little bit of a stretch. It sounds a little far-fetched that would happen, because it's not like you're getting Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the 3DS. You're not seeing people who are buying 3DSs for Breath of the Wild, because you can't. You can't buy that game for the 3DS. So, that's just one small example, but it's things like that make me wonder what exactly these people are talking about, how they're still pushing support for the 3DS, and that's going to harm sales of the Switch. I just don't see that. The one thing I'll definitely agree with you on are that the accessories are pricey. But at the same time, that's also expected. The amount of thought and the amount of stuff that they put into this console, into the Joy-Cons, into the Pro Controller, it's expected that this stuff is going to be expensive. Prices of gaming systems are only going to rise the more that we beg for something better. It's always going to be like that, no matter what you do. And really quickly, I want to break something down for you. Think about this for a minute. Nintendo Switch is a hybrid console and handheld. The Nintendo Wii U, when it was launched, was, what, $250? Keep that number in mind. And then you look at the Nintendo 3DS. We'll even just kind of mix them, because you have the new 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS, and then you have the Nintendo 3DS. Whether it be XL or not doesn't even matter. Those prices range from like $150 to like $200. So let's go in the middle and say $175. That is $425. Nintendo Wii U, $250. $175 for the Nintendo 3DS. $425 to buy both. Would you rather buy the Nintendo Switch, which is $300 plus tax, or would you rather buy a Wii U and Nintendo 3DS for $425 plus tax? I don't know. I think I'd rather buy a Switch. That sounds better. I know it sounds kind of silly to say this kind of thing, but it makes sense. And this is not me comparing the Wii U and 3DS to the Nintendo Switch as far as price goes as an argument as to why the price argument is silly. The silly part about it is that you're forgetting that this is not just one console. This is essentially two. It's a home console and a handheld. You no longer have any reason to buy anything else from Nintendo, which is another reason why it's weird that they're still pushing the 3DS. But if they want to do that, that's fine for now. Eventually, they're going to have to get rid of it, though. But the Nintendo Switch, they no longer have to give you a console and a handheld. They just gave you both in one thing. So again, comparing buying a console and a handheld for $425 or buying the Nintendo Switch, which is both, for $300, which one would you rather do? And this is just me sitting here debating, what if Nintendo decided to release another handheld if this wasn't a hybrid? If this was strictly just a home console and they decided to release another handheld later on down the road, would you rather buy the Nintendo Switch and then a new handheld and pay that money? Or would you rather just buy a Nintendo Switch where it does both? That to me is simple math. And math was a subject I actually enjoyed growing up. So I feel like it only makes sense that it's $300. And even if it went up to $350, I would completely understand that. It does not mean that I don't understand your anger, especially for people in Canada where the price is going to soar even higher than $300. Unfortunately, it makes sense. This price to me makes sense. And as soon as people got upset about it, I really couldn't understand why. Even after hearing their arguments, I couldn't understand why. So that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if there's anything you think I'm wrong about. Leave it down below. I would love to debate and talk about this. Of course, if this is your first video, hit that subscribe button. I love talking with every single one of you. Like this video if you like it. And of course, like I just mentioned, comment down below. I would love to debate with everybody about this topic. And those are just 5 reasons that I just picked out. Probably the 5 biggest reasons that I've been hearing about the Nintendo Switch. If you have something else in mind, again, leave it down below and we'll talk about it. Until next time, guys, take care.